This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It is 5 o'clock here on your Friday. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. Here's what's making headlines on this June 12th. Tourist destination bars and more can open their doors this morning as most of Indiana enters stage 4. We'll tell you what else is opening and when Marion County is expected to take the next step.
One man is dead after a shooting at the Casselton Square Mall, what we know about the homicide investigation, and why police say you shouldn't be afraid to return to the shopping center. And protests and riots over police brutality are raising a lot of questions, especially from children. Working for you, we talk to experts about how to talk about racism with your kids. But first, we do need to get a check of your Storm Team 6 forecast. That's right. We're heading into the weekend, and Todd, perfect timing for this great stretch of weather.
You know, it really is, Lauren. It's going to be absolutely fabulous with low humidity, all the sunshine out there, and temperatures that will be in the 80s. In fact, today, a couple degrees above normal. We're starting off with temperatures right now in the 50s and 60s, 57 in Bloomington, 60 in Indianapolis, 55 is the current temperature as you make your way over into the Greencastle area. And as we go throughout the day, these temperatures will warm very quickly once again this morning because the skies, they are completely clear for us. And that's the way they'll be not only this morning, but really throughout the entire day as high pressure is firmly in control of our forecast. There will be a weak little front that comes through overnight tonight, and that's going to drop the highs for your weekend down into the 70s. And there could be a little more in the way of cloud cover, at least to start your day tomorrow. But overall, it's a great day for us today and Saturday and Sunday, which we'll kind of dive more into that forecast in a little bit. But today, near 80 already by the noon hour, with high temperatures up to about 84 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out there this Friday. This is a look at I-70 and Keystone Avenue. Looks like we're losing our camera there on the near east side, but there are no delays. Everything's moving along smoothly. Indianapolis entering stage 4 today of the reopening plan. This was outlined by Governor Eric Holcomb.
It's a few days earlier than originally slated for Monday. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning with what this means for you. Alyssa, I thought I was going to see you sitting inside a bar right now.
You know what? I think it's a little early for that narrative, but maybe later today and outside of Indianapolis. The new statewide order means that restaurants can have more people in them. As you said, bars can reopen as well as movie theaters. This is everywhere except for Indianapolis. The Circle City has to remain under stage 3 for another week. And Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and Marion County Public Health Director Dr. Virginia Kane say they are taking the precaution to wait an extra week before moving into the next stage. The mayor says the city will keep current limits in place until June 19th, reminding everyone now is not the time to slack off on our personal responsibilities.
Residents are still strongly encouraged to utilize face coverings and practice social distancing in their daily life.
Indianapolis has been easing restrictions more slowly than most of the state because of the higher number of COVID-19 cases and the higher population. Now, starting today, the rest of the state can begin having gatherings of 250 people. We can have restaurants up to 75% in capacity. Stores and malls can reopen at full capacity. Indianapolis is set to hit that time on June 19th. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Marion County continues to have the most cases in the state. The county makes up more than 10,000 of the 38,748 total cases. The Indiana State Department of Health is reporting 449 new cases and 25 new deaths. Nearly 2,200 Hoosiers have died since the pandemic began. More than 327,000 Hoosiers have been tested for COVID-19. Less than 12% of those have come back positive.
With entertainment and tourist destinations being allowed to reopen in stage 4, the Indianapolis Zoo is making changes to open its doors next week. You're going to notice sanitizing stations and signs reminding visitors of social distancing rules. You'll also need an assigned ticket time or reservation to enter the zoo, which can be done online. Everyone who visits will have their temperature taken at the door and masks are encouraged. Zoo officials say they are ready to put the plan into action.
I think we just took a look at what was the safest way to reopen. And so we're confident that we took safety into consideration and health, and everything that we came up with is a sound plan to reopen.
Well, the zoo plans to reopen next Friday, June 19th. You can find a full list of safety measures on our website, theindychannel.com.
A new bill could cut funding to schools and universities if they don't reopen for in-person classes this fall. Indiana Republican Representative Jim Banks co-authored the bill named the Reopen Our Schools Act. Under it, all federal funding would be stopped if classes weren't in person by September 8th. Banks says this would be a necessary step to help education and the economy. Schools would also need to present a safety plan to reopen by that time.
Casselton Square Mall is the scene of a homicide investigation now after a shooting happened inside the shopping destination. This all happened around 5:45 Thursday evening inside the mall, and then it continued over into the parking lot. Officers say multiple shots were heard and a young man was found suffering from a gunshot wound inside. The victim later died at the hospital. Detectives believe that the people involved knew each other and that customers can continue to visit the mall. Police are still working to find out what led to that gunfire.
Protesters who have been marching through the streets and other community members are making their voices heard in a different way. Bethesda Temple Church near Michigan and 62nd Street on the northwest side of Indianapolis hosted a roundtable discussion last night. Panelists talked about several issues, including education, criminal justice, and business development. Organizers say they wanted to include a variety of black voices.
When we have conversations about blackness, I think that people fail to realize that each of us have a different experience. Yes, we share the same ethnicity, or we share the same color, but even then the hue is different, and so understanding that not all of us are the same, even though we're the same.
Local candidates for public service also participated in the event.
As protests continue and racism and social injustices are at the forefront of everyone's minds, parents are finding themselves wanting to teach their kids about what's going on across the country. But how do you do that? Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning after speaking with an expert on the best way to have these sometimes difficult conversations with your kids.
Dr. Renee Aziz says no matter the color of your skin, we all must be intentional when talking about race, racism, and injustices. She says it's important we have these conversations because this is something that affects everyone. Dr. Aziz is a trained school psychologist. She now runs Virtuoso Education Consulting and often helps schools address racial disparities. She says we may not know it or even realize it, but no matter the color of your skin, racism and prejudice impacts everyone. Studies have shown kids from a very young age can see and realize physical differences, and she says that's okay and we should name those differences. Dr. Aziz says she likes the way Dr. Beverly Tatum describes racism in America.
She describes the impact of racism on all of us kind of like smog. You can think about air pollution. We're all breathing it in. And just like racism and injustice, sometimes that smog is really heavy and visible, but other times it's light and you can barely notice it, but you're still breathing it in.
Dr. Aziz pointed me in the direction of some resources for you and your family to utilize. I'll link those for you over on theindychannel.com. Dr. Aziz says there isn't a perfect age or a perfect way to have these conversations, but just starting that dialogue is a step in the right direction. I'm Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
All right, thank you there, Kelsey. As we prepare for the weekend, y'all are going to have to prepare for lots of sunshine. And if you're going to be out and about and doing those outdoor activities, have a lot of sunscreen handy. And that's going to actually start here today, as we'll have a very, very nice Friday. As you get going this morning, grabbing that cup of coffee, temperatures are going to be sitting in the 60s. But notice already, by the time we get to 8 a.m., we're starting to get into the mid to upper 60s. And we're going to see those temperatures warm really, really quickly here throughout the day today. The satellite radar picture is nice and quiet across the area, and as we expand out, there's really not a whole lot going on across much of the country. What that means for you is it's going to be a sun-filled day with high temperatures that will be in the 80s, about 84 in Greenwood, 86 today in Bloomington, Kokomo, and Noblesville, right around 82 degrees. And as we look ahead to the next 5 days, look at that, dry straight across the board. It is an extremely dry stretch of weather for us, but really a pretty comfortable stretch. We'll show you your 7-day planning forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. The coronavirus outbreak is taking a turn as multiple states see a spike in COVID-19 cases. Coming up, the alarming new projections from health officials.
And an investigation is underway into multiple Chicago police officers lounging around during riots. Still ahead, how city leaders are responding to these actions that were caught on camera. We'll be right back.
2020 tonight at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Donald Trump is set to accept the Republican nomination for president in Jacksonville, Florida. The August convention was originally set for Charlotte, North Carolina, but Trump wanted it moved out of the state after North Carolina's governor told Republicans it couldn't have full attendance because of coronavirus. Some portions of the convention will still be held there out of contract obligations. Florida's governor has welcomed Trump's decision to relocate his nomination to Jacksonville.
A new onslaught of COVID-19 in 20 states is bringing some renewed challenges for residents across the country, along with a disturbing new prediction. The spike is also hurting people's pockets. ABC's Karina Mitchell has the latest.
As signs of a second wave of coronavirus infections emerge, a dire new prediction from a top Harvard health official: up to 200,000 people could die from the contagion by September.
If we don't act, the future is very grim.
A warning Houston officials are taking seriously.
I'm growing increasingly concerned that we may be approaching the precipice of a disaster.
That is, officials report a record number of new cases in Texas and the introduction of a new COVID threat level system in Houston as the number of hospital patients there swells. North and South Carolina, Florida, and Texas all reporting record single-day cases this week.
We're working with our epidemiologists, digging deep into that data.
Despite a spike, many states forging ahead with reopening.
We opened up when the case levels were still quite high. We did not have enough testing in most states, so we're now seeing the consequences of that.
Those consequences also reverberating on Wall Street, where stocks tumbled yesterday, the Dow plummeting more than 1,800 points for its worst day since March over renewed fears of a rise in infections. One person seemingly unafraid of a surge, President Trump, announcing a rally in Tulsa on June 19th, but issuing this disclaimer so he won't be held liable if supporters contract the virus. By clicking register below, you're acknowledging that an inherent risk of exposure to COVID-19 exists in any public place where people are present. At least one state now swayed by the rise in cases. Oregon Governor Kate Brown pausing reopening for a week, citing a, quote, significant increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
The nation's experimental COVID vaccine is set to start its final stages of testing next month. The study will be to prove if it can successfully fight off the virus. Moderna Incorporated, who's helping develop the shot, says it will need 30,000 volunteers. Some will get the actual vaccine, others will get a dummy shot. That way scientists can compare which group ends up with a higher infection rate. Worldwide, there's about a dozen COVID-19 vaccines in the works. Several of them are also expected to move into final testing this summer. Here at 5:16, Todd Clausen standing by. You got a great forecast for us, Todd.
You know, it's absolutely terrific, Meredith. There's no really other way to break it down for you but to encourage you to get outside, because here we are in the middle of June. We're talking about seasonable temperatures, nothing but sunshine and humidity levels that are going to be really, really low throughout the course of the day. Today, as dew points, that's the scale you see there from 50 to 70 when we're up in the 70s, very tropical-like. That's where we were earlier in the week. Well, today, we're in that nice refreshing category, right around 50 degrees for those dew points. So we'll have a dew point of 50 degrees. We'll have an actual temperature in the low 80s, and that's a great air mass to be in. 60 right now in Indianapolis, 57 in Bloomington. 64 is the current temperature in Muncie, and Richmond is currently sitting at 58 degrees. So as we go throughout the day, these temperatures, they will warm very, very quickly. Hour by hour breakdown shows the temperatures climbing up into the 80-degree range by about 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then our high temperature today, that should get up to right around 84 24 degrees, and we'll hit that between the 4 and 5 o'clock hours. So it's just going to be a terrific day from start to finish on this Friday. Great way to end the work week, great way to start the weekend. And we're going to carry the weather over into your Saturday and Sunday with a minor little change, at least compared to today. And that change is going to be a weak cold front that is going to be making its way through the area. And that cold front right now is way up to our north. And you see a few showers there near Green Bay. As the front comes through, it'll come through our area overnight tonight. So this evening, if you have plans, you are just fine. Temperatures will be sitting in the 80s through about 8, 9 o'clock, and then we'll fall back down into the 70s. And then overnight tonight, temperatures will be very similar to where they are right now, and that is in the mid to upper 50s to right around 60 degrees. The change is that the high temperatures tomorrow will stay in the 70s. Now, Saturday, as that front comes through that I mentioned, there could be a little bit of cloud cover to start the day. If you do see some clouds, they'll thin out very, very quickly, and it turns into Super Saturday for us. 77 degrees, humidity still really, really low. Sunday, nothing but sunshine, a high temperature of 76 degrees. Should be a beautiful day as well. And as you look at your 7-day planning forecast, the one consistent theme is that we'll keep the sunshine around. We have no rain in this forecast at least through the middle to end of next week. The change is you notice the temperatures Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Highs get back into the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees. The humidity comes up as well. So enjoy the first 3 or 4 days here in your 7-day planning forecast with the lower humidity, the sunshine, and also those seasonable temperatures. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this morning. This is I-65 at State Road 334 up in the Whitestown area. Semi there on the side of the road, but it looks like it is not stalled or anything. It may just be sitting there. We're not sure. So just keep that in mind as you travel through that part of Boone County. Right now, no major issues to slow down your Friday morning commute. Of course, we'll keep you updated.
Take a look at this. Chicago police officers under investigation after many were caught on camera lounging around while businesses were damaged and looted amid riots. Security video shows the officers sleeping and snacking on popcorn and coffee inside Congressman Bobby Rush's office on the night of June 1st. As many as 13 officers rested there for 5 hours. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot called the incident outrageous and wants the strongest possible action to be taken against those officers.
A handful of stores say they will no longer lock up beauty products geared towards women of color. Walgreens, CVS, and Walmart have all said they will end the practice. Many stores have long-standing policies of putting items with high theft rates behind glass. But experts from Global Data Retail say when it comes to beauty products, items that cater to black customers seem to be locked up over ones that cater to white customers. They say if the same isn't being done for both, it comes off as discriminatory.
World-famous zookeeper Jack Hanna is retiring after a decades-long career. The Columbus Zoo in Ohio made the announcement yesterday. Hanna served as the zoo's director for 42 years. He also hosted several TV series and appeared on talk shows. Even though he's retiring, he says he will always continue to help the zoo. Hanna's official last day will be December 31st. That would be a hard job to walk away from, Lauren.
Yes, very cool. Well, late basketball great Kobe Bryant is being given another honor to recognize his talent and legacy. The Television Academy wants to give him an Emmy Award. Kobe was on TV screens for more than 20 years and the subject of thousands of sports highlights. The Academy says they also want to honor him for his philanthropy and inspiration. Bryant's death shocked the world when he and his daughter Gianna were killed in a helicopter crash earlier this year. The posthumous Los Angeles area governors will present the Kobe's honor on July 18th.
A lot of people have gotten creative making products to help with social distancing. Now there is a contraption for your summer trip to the beach. We'll show you the beach ring after the break.
Apply online today.
With beaches now open across the country, one company wants to help you take the guesswork out of social distancing. The Cool Breeze has created what they call the beach ring. It's a physical ring that stretches out to create a 12-foot circle. The makers say anyone inside the ring can easily stay the recommended 6 feet away from everyone else. When you're ready to leave, the ring folds so it can fit into a bag. The beach ring sells for around $40 and will be shipped out later this month.
Could be a good way to reserve your spot on the beach as well.
Go.
All right, well, a good family activity to do while you're staying home is jigsaw puzzles, but they've become so popular you may actually have difficulty finding one. That's what happened to Heidi Paulette, so she found a way to fix that. She created a puzzle swap in her main town.
Wow.
Yeah, Paulette and her son built a shed where people can take a puzzle and bring another to replace it. She posted about this on Facebook and has been getting new puzzles every day since.
It's a good stress reliever to sit down for a little while and just put a puzzle together and just think about the puzzle and not have to think about all the other things going on in the world.
Paulette says she's now thinking of building a second shed because of the overwhelming response. I am a big fan of jigsaw puzzles and my Thomas Kincaid puzzles, so they get your brain going. I love doing them.
You might have to travel.
I know, I may have to go see her collection.
There. Yeah, and grab
you can't do puzzles very much with a 1-year-old, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
so
I would
haven't done them
suspect
in
maybe
quarantine.
a piece or two goes missing.
Yeah,
quite often.
Down below the table. All right, Todd. If people maybe want to put the puzzle away though and get outside this weekend because it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, the puzzle will always be there. This weather is not always going to be here with the low humidity and the sunshine. So, yeah, I encourage you to try to get outside and do something not only today but in the coming days. The sky's starting to brighten now on this Friday morning here across central Indiana, as you can see off in the distance there behind my sun-filled graphic for you. 60 degrees at 6 a.m., 69 already by 9 a.m. with skies that'll be completely sunny. And it's really, really going to be just a beautiful day for us. High temperatures eventually this afternoon, anywhere from about 82 degrees to the north in Peru, 84 degrees the high today in Indianapolis, and about 86 from Bloomington to Columbus. Humidity remains low, wind not a factor. We'll talk more about Saturday and Sunday and beyond for you coming up in the next half hour of Good Morning Indiana. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
Show today at 10 on RTV6. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Today, Indiana is entering stage 4 of Governor Holcomb's back on track reopening plan. Now at 5:30, we're breaking down the changes, including when Marion County will join the rest of the state.
And as protests continue across the country, your kids may be starting to ask questions. This morning, we're talking to an expert on how to handle those tough conversations. But first, one thing that isn't tough to talk about, this weather that we have ahead.
Yeah, that's right. And Todd Clausen gets to share all of the great news. The timing is perfect as we kick off our Friday. Todd, what do we need to know?
You know, you need to know it's going to be sunny. There's humidity is not going to be around. And you also just need to get outside and enjoy this weather, because these are what I call those bonus days where you have the middle of summer almost, or the middle of June getting into the official start of summer next week. But obviously, we've been very hot. We've been very humid. So that's why you need to take advantage of this little break that we've been getting from the heat and humidity. What do you need to grab before you go? Well, the same thing as yesterday. Sunglasses, the sunscreen. Drink plenty of water if you're going to be out and about here throughout the day today. Exercise, and not as humid as it has been, so you don't think about the water quite as much, but you'll definitely need it. Temperatures this morning in the 50s and 60s. A beautiful sunrise starting to take place across the area, and there's not hardly a cloud in the sky. Just a few fair weather ones, and that is just about it. And off to our west, there's nothing going on. That means it's sunny from start to finish throughout the day today. Should be up to near 80 degrees already by the noon hour. The humidity remains low. The winds even a little more calm than they were yesterday. Yesterday, we still had a little bit of a breeze. That is not an issue for us here throughout the day today, with our high temperature getting up to 84 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic right now as you're heading out on the roads. This is on the east side, I-70 here and Emerson Avenue. You can see traffic is moving along smoothly. Still pretty quiet both eastbound and westbound. We'll let you know if there are any crashes or delays to slow down your commute. So Indiana enters stage 4 of Governor Eric Holcomb's reopening plan today, and that's 2 days earlier than originally planned.
The new phase means most Hoosiers can return to work in office buildings, and bars can reopen at half capacity. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. And Alyssa, Hoosiers do need to know, though, that cities can set their own restrictions.
That's right, Meredith. And Mayor Joe Hogsett did exactly that for Indianapolis. While the rest of the state is entering the second to last stage of the governor's reopening plan, people who live in the Circle City will have to wait another week. And that's because we've just had some higher cases of COVID-19 across the city. If you live in other cities, though, across Indiana, here's what stage 4, starting today, means for you. Restaurants can reopen restaurants can increase the number of people allowed in. Bars are allowed to reopen at half capacity. Museums, zoos, bowling alleys, amusement parks, and movie theaters can all reopen with partial capacity. Social gatherings of up to 250 people will be allowed, and retail stores and malls can operate at full capacity. Governor Holcomb says the ability to continue moving through each stage of this plan is due to everyone's vigilance. And if we continue at this rate, the state will be able to hit stage 5 by the set date.
I mean, if we stay on this track, then come Independence Day, July 4th, we'll be looking at festivals and fairs and parades and carnivals that still are considering being open, but for the time being, they're closed until stage 5 gets here.
And the governor stresses that entering a new stage does not mean everything is back to normal. He recommends people should still social distance, wash their hands often, and wear masks. And Indianapolis has been easing into these stages more slowly than other cities across the state. And as I said, that's due to our higher number of COVID-19 cases as well as a higher population of people. Indianapolis will be entering stage 4 set right now for next Friday. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. As concerns over a spike in coronavirus cases grow across the country, Wall Street is taking a tumble. Thursday, the Dow plummeted more than 1,800 points for its worst day since March. Stocks had been rallying at a rate many skeptics said was unsustainable and didn't reflect the dire condition of the economy. The U.S. Labor Department reported an additional 1.5 million people filed for unemployment last week, but it was the 10th straight weekly decline as more businesses reopen. Since mid-March, when the pandemic began to take hold, more than 44 million people have filed claims for unemployment benefits. The Federal Reserve says the road to recovery could be long. Here at home, Hoosiers are still filing for unemployment in unprecedented numbers. New figures from the Department of Labor show more than 23,600 people in Indiana filed initial claims for unemployment last week. That's actually a slight increase from the previous week, which saw more than 22,900 Hoosiers file. In the weeks since the pandemic began, more than 750,000 people in Indiana have filed for unemployment. To put that into perspective, about 191,000 people filed for unemployment in all of 2019.
If you've been affected financially by the coronavirus, we're here to help. WRTV is teaming up with Kroger to support second helpings. From June 15th through June 21st, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount of your choice when you're at the checkout line at select Kroger locations. The proceeds will go directly to help second helpings. WRTV and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can find more information on the IndyChannel.com/Feeding Hoosiers.
As protests continue and racism and social injustices are at the forefront of everyone's mind, parents are finding themselves wanting to teach their kids about what's going on across our country. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning after speaking with one expert on the best way to have this sometimes difficult conversation with your kids.
Dr. Renee Aziz says no matter the color of your skin, we all must be intentional when talking about race, racism, and injustices. She says it's important we have these conversations because this is something that affects everyone.
We have to talk about it because we're all impacted by it.
Dr. Renee Aziz is a trained school psychologist. She now runs Virtuoso Education Consulting. Right now, as protests are happening across the country, she says we need to talk about it because race and racism impact everyone.
We've got to start important conversations that really force us to have explicit conversations that lead to action. We can't just be like, oh, well, let's just treat everybody equally. You treat everybody fairly.
But these conversations, Dr. Aziz says, will be different for every family and especially different for white families compared to families of color. She says a lot of people in the white community have been raised not to talk about race and racism, but she says that thinking needs to change when talking with your kids.
I say see it, name it, and then teach your kids how to stand up to it. And to that name it part, you've got to kind of unlearn what you were taught about keeping quiet.
But these conversations are different for families of color because they are already experiencing racism and prejudice from a very young age.
And with my own children, I focus on doing 3 things to help them navigate this journey of who they are and as they grow, and that is to empower them, to educate them, and to support them.
She says as far as educating them, it's important to teach them about their history, but also how to handle racism and prejudice comments.
To really teach them how to respond when they experience someone making a racially biased comment toward them. We've got to explicitly teach them what to do in those situations.
But before you can have a conversation with your children, Dr. Aziz says it's important you do the work first.
We can't talk about teaching your children before you do your own work and getting comfortable about how to address issues of bias and racism and just flat out prejudice conversations.
Dr. Aziz wants all parents to know that there's not an exact right way to have these conversations, and just opening up the dialogue is a step in the right direction. Now, she also pointed me in the direction of some resources that you and your family can utilize. I've got those linked for you over on theindychannel.com. I'm Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. And today, Indianapolis Public Schools is encouraging students, parents, and community members to take part in an honest conversation about race. The district is hosting a virtual discussion on Zoom at noon. Speakers include IPS board members, the superintendent, and director of the district's Racial Equity Initiative. There will also be a Q&A session. You must register for a link to participate. You can find that on our website at theindychannel.com. Here at 5:39, Todd, I think you are everyone's favorite guy this Friday.
Well, you know, I have my rate the day scale here, Meredith, and, you know, don't do it too often here, but I'm going to push the rate the day scale all the way to a 10. It's going to be nearly perfect, so you're exactly right. Get out there and enjoy. I hope I'm everybody's favorite person today, because I wasn't earlier in the week with all the humidity and the storms around. But here's why today is going to be a perfect 10. We have the sunshine. We have comfortable temperatures going up to 84 degrees. The wind is light and the humidity is low. So it's a great day to head to the pool if you have your own, or maybe some of the public pools that are starting to open, or just find a body of water to cool off. I know Saxony Beach is opening this weekend as well. Just remember the sunscreen. UV index very high here today. Burn time is only about 10 to 15 minutes. And drink plenty of water as well. A little cooler for the weekend. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. A 2-day manhunt for a suspect accused of shooting multiple law enforcement officers in California has come to an end. Straight ahead, why police are not calling this a happy ending.
And a boat full of passengers capsizes off the coast in Florida. Coming up, see the harrowing rescue. It's 5:40. We'll be right back.
Beljan's XR.
The nation is remembering one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. 4 years ago today, a gunman opened fire inside the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. 49 people were killed inside of the LGBTQ nightclub. More than 50 others were injured. Police shot and killed the gunman, Omar Mateen, during the events of that night. In honor of the shooting victims, all flags will fly at half-staff in Florida today. The Orlando community also plans to hold a virtual tribute and a remembrance ceremony.
At 5:44 this morning, a 2-day manhunt for a California man suspected of shooting multiple law enforcement officers and killing one person is now over. The manhunt for 26-year-old Mason James Lira started out on Wednesday in Paso Robles after police say he shot a sheriff's deputy in the face during an ambush-style attack. And then on Thursday, while fleeing, investigators say Lira shot 2 officers and another sheriff's deputy. Police also linked him to the death of a 58-year-old man who was shot in the head near a train station. Lira was shot and killed on Thursday night while trying to escape his hiding spot at a river bend. Now, all of the injured officers are expected to recover.
President Trump is returning to the campaign trail next Friday, June 19th, and his first stop will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But the date and location are stirring up some controversy. June 19th, or Juneteenth, is the day the Emancipation Proclamation freed U.S. slaves. And Tulsa is the site of one of the worst massacres of African Americans in U.S. history. Back in 1921, a white mob massacred as many as 300 black residents and torched several businesses and homes in the Greenwood district known as the Black Wall Street. Supporters of the president say the time and place are fitting, but critics worry the rally will stunt Tulsa's progress amid recent tensions.
It's a meaningful day to him, and it's a day where he wants to share some of the progress that's been made as we look forward at more that needs to be done.
I'm sure the president's going to say something that's going to be divisive. This is just to throw cold water on all the things we were trying to do, and put a halt to the momentum that's going.
The president's campaign maintains the timing and location of the rally are deliberate, and his team views it as a chance to tout his, quote, record of success for Black Americans.
Now to the push for police reform. More departments across the country are making changes in the wake of George Floyd's death and those ongoing protests. And that includes in Louisville, Kentucky, where the department announced a major change following the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest.
This morning, new limits on police in the wake of Breonna Taylor's death.
Say her name! Breonna Taylor!
Officials in Louisville passing Breonna's law, banning all no-knock warrants. Taylor, an EMT, was killed during a drug raid, officers barging into her home unannounced, even though the suspect was already in custody. No drugs were found.
Where's the emergency?
I don't know what happened. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend.
The officers involved now facing new backlash over this police incident report, which is nearly blank and missing key details.
I think it's insane. Why would you want to enter into a home in the middle of the night without announcing yourselves?
The report lists Taylor's injuries as none, even though she was shot 8 times. Officers used a battering ram to break down her door, but under forced entry is checked no. The officers have not been charged. And this morning, another case of alleged police abuse of power in the spotlight.
Why are you putting handcuffs on?
Because a teenager in Tulsa pinned to the ground, handcuffed, seemingly kicked by officers.
He's kicking his kid. He's kicking his kid.
Officers claim the boy was jaywalking, despite a city law allowing pedestrians to cross at any point in neighborhoods without crosswalks or traffic lights. Tulsa's mayor and the police department are investigating. It comes as a new ABC News investigation finds in 800 jurisdictions nationwide, Black people were arrested at a rate 5 times higher than white people in 2018.
We're dominating the street with compassion.
President Trump Thursday announcing his plan for police reform, including more training and pilot programs that bring social workers and police together. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, New York.
Take a look at this. A loaded boat knocked over, dumping passengers into the water in Florida. Officials say the boat was being towed to safety when strong currents snapped the line. That caused the boat to roll over and submerge, pulling the passengers into the water. Officials quickly sprang into action using wave runners to perform rescues. 3 adults and 3 children were pulled from the water. The rest were helped to safety. A total of 9 people were rescued. Officials say 2 adults were treated for minor injuries, but everyone else is okay. And Todd, this serves as a good reminder. A lot of people are going to be out on the water this weekend because of our great weather. People are going to be excited to be out and about. They need to be careful, though.
Yeah, be careful. Always have that life jacket handy if you're going to be out on the water. And you're exactly right. I think it's going to be a very popular place, whether it's the rivers, the streams, or lakes here across central Indiana, Meredith. Going to be very, very busy with the nice weather this weekend. Let's take a look at your headlines on this Friday. Well, today's going to be an absolutely terrific day. I know we're not quite to the weekend yet, but this is going to be a great stretch of weather Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Today is warm, but not humid. Lots of sunshine, and the wind has calmed as well. Yesterday, we didn't have the gusty winds, but it was still a little breezy across the area. But as you look at the muggy meter, and this kicks into effect tomorrow, you see Saturday and Sunday, we're still in that comfy level. But notice what happens as we get into next week. The humidity starts to come back up, and then by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday, we're getting into that very humid category, as the temperatures will also get back close to 90 degrees. That's why I keep emphasizing, and it started earlier in the week, that you have to take advantage outdoors of this nice stretch of weather that we're going to have at least through Sunday and even into Monday. Right now, we're at 60 in Indy, 57 in Bloomington, 64 is the current temperature up in Muncie, 56 in New Pal, 58 in Plainfield. Just a great morning. I just went out, looked outside, and beautiful sunrise is taking place all across the area. Now, the satellite radar picture is nice and quiet for us here across the area, as there's not a whole lot going on in the forecast for the day today. But as we go into the evening hours, there may be a few more clouds that'll start to build in. There is a weak cold front that is to our north, and the front's going to come through dry. We're not going to see any precipitation from it, but it is going to start to drop our temperatures a little bit for afternoon highs as we get into your Saturday and Sunday. But if you do have plans this evening, outdoor dining, you're in great shape. Sunset 9:14, temperatures will fall into the 70s once the sun sets, and then tomorrow morning as you wake up, temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s. But look at your forecast for Saturday. We dropped the temperatures a little bit below normal. We're in the 70s, but don't worry about that. We're still going to be nice and sunny. The humidity remains low. Saturday morning, there could be a few clouds to start today as that front makes its way through the area overnight tonight, but they'll quickly clear out for all that sunshine. And then there's the heat that builds back in towards the tail end of our 7-day planning forecast. Not only do we get the heat, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, the humidity comes way up as well, so it gets pretty oppressive again by Wednesday and Thursday. So take advantage of the next couple days, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Looks like a great week of weather. Let's take a look outside right now for your commute. Here's I-65 and I-465. This is down on the south side where you can see at this early hour, traffic is already picking up in all directions. Everything's moving along up to speed, though, so that is great news. No delays on the south side here to slow down your commute.
Sam's Club is launching curbside pickup for members across the country. The bulk retailer announced the move Thursday. The service features online ordering with delivery right to customers' vehicles. It will be available at all 597 clubs by the end of this month, and it's free for Plus level members. Orders can be picked up between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. And for a limited time, non-Plus members will be able to use the service for free with shortened pickup hours. Those are 10 to 8 Monday to Saturday and 10 to 5 on Sundays.
Well, remember those Tamagotchi virtual pets from the 90s that lived on electronic devices? Well, they're coming back. The new pets are called Tamagotchi on Wonder Garden, and they're going to cost $60. They'll be available in July. The virtual animals have modern graphics and the ability to connect to an app. It can also get married, raise children who later grow into adults, continue the family tree. The difficulty level isn't as tough as the original toy, and in the new version, you can drop off your pet at a hotel for daycare.
I wonder if they'll also bring back the Gigapet, which was a competitor of the Tamagotchi back in the day.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of blast from the past, to get ready to break out the side ponies, the parachute pants, coming up, the details on a COVID relief benefit concert that's going to take you back to the 80s. It's 5:53 on your Friday. Stick around. We'll be back.
Easy. Even Petey can do it.
There is a totally radical concert happening this weekend featuring some of the 80s most bodacious bands. Wang Chung, A Flock of Seagulls, and many more putting on a virtual benefit concert. It is all to raise money for COVID-19 frontline workers. Wang Chung, known for their hit Everybody Have Fun Tonight, teamed up with New Shoes singer Valerie Day for a remix appropriately titled Everybody Stay Safe Tonight. The Back to the Basement virtual benefit concert premieres this Saturday, June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can catch a replay is Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern after you're out and about enjoying the great weather we are going to have.
Yeah, Todd is going to break Sorry, Todd. Go ahead. Take it away. It is going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is, Lauren. It's absolutely going to be a great weekend for us here with the sunshine and also the low humidity and the cooler temperatures. Take a look at the sunrise taking place right now across the area, and you can see there's hardly a cloud in the sky. A beautiful start to our Friday, and temperatures this morning are nice and comfortable as well. We are currently sitting right around 60 degrees in Indianapolis, 57 in Bloomington, Greenwood at 59 degrees. We're on our way up to a high of 84 degrees today. Again, the wind is a non-factor. The humidity is a non-factor as well. So get outside and enjoy today. And the weekend's great as well. More on that coming up in the 6 o'clock hour here when we return on Good Morning Indiana.